of 2 Samuel 18. Then Absalom met the servants of David. Absalom rode on a mule. The mule went under the thick boughs of a great terebinth tree, and his head caught in the terebinth. So he was left hanging between heaven and earth, and the mule which was under him went on. Well, if you know anything about Absalom, you know that he was a handsome, good-looking guy. He had lots of hair. How interesting that that was his downfall. For his hair, his head got caught in a tree as he was riding the mule in battle. And so the Bible tells us that there hangs Absalom between heaven and earth. Well, his defeat and his death. Notice with me, verse 9. Then Absalom met the servants of David, and Absalom rode on a mule. The mule went under the thick boughs of a great terebinth tree. His head caught in the terebinth, so that he was left hanging between heaven and earth, and the mule which was under him went on. Now a certain man saw it and told Joab and said, I just saw Absalom hanging in a terebinth tree. So Joab said to the man who told him, you just saw him? Why did you not strike him there to the ground? I would have given you 10 shekels of silver and a belt. But the man said to Joab, though I were to receive 1,000 shekels of silver in my hand, I would not raise my hand against the king's son. For in our hearing the king commanded you and Abishai and Ittai, saying, beware lest anyone touch the young man Absalom. Well, his death is verse number 14. Joab says, I'm not hanging around with you. I cannot linger with you. He took 3 spears in his hand, thrust them through Absalom's heart while he was still alive in the midst of the terebinth tree. And 10 young men who bore Joab's armor surrounded Absalom and struck and killed him. Joab blew the trumpet. The people returned from pursuing Israel, for Joab held back the people. They took Absalom, cast him into a large pit in the woods, and laid a very large heap of stones over him. Then all Israel fled, everyone to his tent. Now, Absalom, in his lifetime, had taken and set up an altar for himself, which is in the king's valley. For he said, I have no son to keep my name in remembrance. He called the pillar after his own name. And to this day, it is called Absalom's monument. We have looked at the story of father's love from its very beginning. Absalom's birth, the son of Maacah, the son of David. We have looked at Absalom as he has gone from being one who was a murderer, avenging his sister Tamar. We have seen him progress to the point where he does everything that he can to take away the kingdom from his father. He commits treason against his father. So, what should David be feeling? What should be on David's mind? Well, in chapter number 18, we read of David as he awaits word. He awaits word concerning the battle, concerning Absalom. But he is most focused on Absalom. Remember, he told Joab, Abishai, and Ittai, the commanders of the armies, deal gently with the young man for my sake. So the Bible tells us that there are runners, and they are the ones who are to bring the news. But notice verse number 29 of 2 Samuel 18. The king said, is the young man Absalom safe? That's what's on the father's mind. How's my boy? How's my son? Is the young man Absalom safe? Well, the answer is given to us down in verse number 32 by the Cushite, who was one of the messengers who ran to bring David news. And again, the question is asked of the messenger Cushite, is the young man Absalom safe? Now notice the Cushite's answer. May the enemies of my lord the king and all who rise against him or against you to do harm be like that young man. David, Absalom, your son is dead. He is dead. From the beginning of the relationship, the continuing of the relationship, every reason in the world why David should have disowned his son, should have said, I want nothing further to do with Absalom. Yet a father's love, A father's love shines through. That's what unconditional love looks like. Doesn't matter what Absalom has done. Doesn't matter the heartache that he has caused. Doesn't matter the harm that he has caused. All of those things are wrong. But it is the father's love that shines through so brilliantly and so brightly. Brings us to verse 33, our text for the morning. This is a picture of a father's love, expressed in words of great grief. Deal gently with the young man Absalom for my sake, David said. But Absalom died. The Bible says the king was deeply moved, went up to the chamber over the gate, and he wept. I want to remind you of something. This is not the first son that David lost. Because of the sin that David committed with Bathsheba, because of the murder of Uriah, her husband, the child that was born of the union between David and Bathsheba, that child died as well. So we see David as he deals with death yet a second time. The Bible says these words in verse 33, and as he went, he said thus, "O my son Absalom, my son Absalom, if only I had died in your place." Love is a word that is used in so many sentences and so many songs. But the Bible teaches us what love looks like. Love is unconditional. Love is strong. Love is not something that you get because of what you do.